The wealthy don't just work for money, they master it. They know how to shape their financial reality. And today, with the secrets unveiled by Florence Scovel Shinn, you'll discover exactly how they do it. Stick around until the end of the video and see for yourself. Chapter 1. The Game of Wealth. Understanding the invisible board where money is created. You need to understand, first and foremost, that life, as Florence Scovel Shinn taught, is a game. But it's not a game of luck or chance. It's a game of cause and effect, governed by unshakable spiritual laws. Most people live and die without ever learning the rules, so they feel like pawns moved by an invisible force, victims of circumstance. They think the game board is the physical world, the job, the market, the economy. They try to win by moving the wrong pieces, focusing only on physical effort, the daily grind. But Florence reveals the truth. The real game board is invisible. It's inside you. It's your own consciousness. Your outer world, every penny in your bank account, every debt in your name, is just a direct reflection of the images, beliefs, and words you hold on that inner board. Trying to get rich by changing only external circumstances, without first shifting the inner picture, is like trying to change the reflection in a mirror without changing your face. It's a futile effort. The Bible lays out this truth with powerful clarity. In Proverbs 23 verse 7, it says, "For as he thinks in his heart, so is he." Pay attention, so is he, not so he will be. It's a statement of present fact. Your current reality is the direct result of your past imagination. You are, today, what you imagined yourself to be. That's the fundamental rule of the game. Your imagination is the hand that moves the pieces on the invisible board. If you picture scarcity, worry, and struggle, the game delivers exactly that in your physical world. But if you learn to imagine abundance, health, and success with faith, the game, by law, must manifest that new reality. Florence Shinn would say your subconscious is a faithful servant, but it doesn't judge. It doesn't decide if your command is good or bad, it just carries it out. Your mental images and words are the orders you give. Take Abraham's story as an example. Before he became the father of many nations, he was just Abram, a childless man with a promise. God didn't give him children first. First, God changed Abram's inner picture. He took him outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if you can. That's how your descendants will be." God made him visualize, imagine, and feel the reality of the promise before it became physical. He changed Abram's name to Abraham, so every day he'd hear and see himself as the father of multitudes. He had to become that person on the invisible board of his mind before the visible world could catch up. The one thing you need to do, and we'll dive deeper into this in the coming chapters, is learn to control that inner board. It's about stopping being a pawn and becoming the player. Wealth isn't something you chase out there, it's a result you create in here. If this first secret has already blown your mind, drop a like to let me know you're ready to learn how to play the game for real. Chapter 2. The Law of Preparation. Why Isaac reaped 100-fold and how you can plant your wealth today. Now that you've grasped that your mind is the true game board, it's time to learn the first move of a master player: preparation. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that faith without works is dead. The works, the action, is your demonstration of faith. It's preparing for the good you've asked for, even before you see a single sign of it. This preparation is what Florence calls building your bridge of faith, to let your wealth cross from the invisible world to the visible. Most people do the opposite. They wait to see the money before they feel rich. They say, "When I have the money, I'll buy new clothes," or "When I get the job, I'll fix up my office." A player who knows the law acts first. They fix up the office so the job can come. They buy the new wallet so the money has a place to live. They act as if they've already received it. This act of faith, this preparation, is the seed you plant in the field of your consciousness. It's your unmistakable message to the universe that you're not just waiting, you're actively expecting. The Bible gives us a powerful example of this in the story of Isaac, in Genesis, chapter 26. There was a great famine in the land, the same famine that drove his father, Abraham, to Egypt. The external circumstances screamed scarcity, danger, retreat. Logic would say to hoard the seeds, not plant them in dry soil. But Isaac received divine guidance to stay in that land. And what did he do? Verse 12 tells us, Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. Isaac showed audacious faith. He prepared the field and planted his seeds in the middle of a crisis, acting on the divine promise, not the appearance of reality. He built his bridge of faith. That 100-fold harvest wasn't a random miracle. It was the universal law responding to his preparation and fearless action. He acted like a prosperous man in the midst of famine, and the law made him prosperous. So, how can you plant your wealth today? Start with small acts of preparation. If you want to pay off your debts, grab those bills and, instead of staring at them with fear, write across them in big, bold red letters, "Paid. Thank you, God, for abundant provision." This act of faith impresses your subconscious. If you want more clients, set up your workspace as professionally as possible, even if no clients are booked yet. Clear your desk, organize your files. Prepare for the flow. If you want a new car, clean and organize your current car with the gratitude of someone saying goodbye to it, ready for the next one. Florence Scovel shares the story of a woman who wanted a piano but had no space. Florence told her to prepare the space. The woman sold a large table, cleared the spot, and soon after, she received a piano exactly as she'd envisioned. The universe hates a vacuum and rushes to fill it. Prepare your space today. What small act of faith can you take right now to get ready for the wealth you're asking for? Drop your idea in the comments to inspire others. And if you're starting to see the power behind these laws, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because with every chapter, your ability to create wealth will multiply. Chapter 3, The Word of Command, Decreeing Abundance instead of asking for it, just as Elijah commanded the rain. You've prepared the field like Isaac. Now, it's time to master the most powerful tool for commanding your harvest, your word. Florence Scovel Shinn was crystal clear when she taught, your word is your magic wand. But most of us were taught to wield this wand all wrong. We were raised to beg, to plead, to ask for help from a place of lack and weakness. We say things like, please God, help me pay my bills, or I need more money. Every one of those phrases, though well-meaning, reinforces a picture of scarcity in your subconscious. You're declaring that you don't have, that you need. And the law, impartial and exact, responds to your declaration by giving you more lack, more need. The game-changing secret is to stop asking and start commanding. You don't beg like a servant, you decree like a child of the king, knowing that all the abundance of the kingdom is already yours by divine right. The shift is subtle, but the results are explosive. Instead of, I need money, you declare with authority, I am an irresistible magnet for wealth, and large sums of money come to me under grace in perfect ways. Instead of, I hope I get that contract, you decree, the divine plan for this contract now manifests. The competition is divine, and the outcome is the success God planned for me. You're not being arrogant. You're aligning your words with spiritual truth. The truth is that abundance already exists. The supply is infinite. You're not creating wealth, you're commanding it to manifest in your visible world. Florence would say you're placing your order with the universe, and the universe, like an efficient waiter, rushes to fulfill it. Your word, spoken with faith, is the cause. The manifestation is the effect. The prophet Elijah gave us a masterclass on the power of the commanding word. In 1 Kings, chapter 17, he didn't ask God to stop the rain. He stood before King Ahab and decreed, as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the coming years except at my word. He knew his word, aligned with divine will, had the power to shape reality. And for 3.5 years, it didn't rain. When the time came, in chapter 18, he didn't beg for rain either. He prepared the altar, demonstrated his faith, and after proving God's power, he simply told Ahab, go, eat and drink, for there is the sound of a heavy rain. He spoke the rain into existence before any physical sign appeared. He didn't react to reality, He created it with His commanding word. You have that same power. Are your words creating a drought or a downpour in your financial life? Start today by using your word as a decree. Pick one area of your life and craft a commanding affirmation for it. If this shift in perspective feels powerful to you, show it with a like. Every click helps us spread this message of empowerment to more people. Chapter 4: The Bridge of Active Faith, the secret of the widow of Zarephath and the action that transforms little into much. You've learned to prepare the field and wield your word as a command. But there's a critical moment, a test, where most people stumble. It's when you look at your current reality and see the little. The small balance in your bank account, the single client, the tiny opportunity. Human logic, rooted in fear, tells you to cling to that little, to play it safe, to avoid risk. This is where active faith comes in. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that faith isn't a passive feeling, it's an action. It's your willingness to act on the little you have, trusting that this act of faith is the bridge connecting you to the much. You don't wait for the much to arrive before you act. You act on the little so the much can manifest. This action, no matter how small, is your proof to the universe that you truly believe in the law of abundance. It's the step you take in the dark, trusting the ground will appear beneath your feet. The most profound and powerful example of active faith in the Bible is the story of the widow of Zarephath, found in 1 Kings, chapter 17. Like in Isaac's story, there was a severe drought and famine in the land. The prophet Elijah, guided by God, meets this widow and asks her for water and a piece of bread. Her response paints a picture of where most people stand. As surely as the Lord your God lives, I don't have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little olive oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die. She was staring at her little, and had already declared her death sentence. She was at the end of her rope. But Elijah gives her the instruction of the law of active faith. Don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said. But first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me, and then make something for yourself and your son. Think about the magnitude of that request. He asked her to take her last resource, her final meal before death, and give it to him first, based solely on a promise. She had to choose between the logic of fear and the action of faith. And she chose faith. She took her little and used it in an act of obedience and trust. She built her bridge. And what was the result? The jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word of the Lord spoken by Elijah. Her little, when used with faith, became an inexhaustible source. The miracle wasn't in the multiplication of the flour, it was in her decision to act. Florence Shinn would say that by giving the first loaf to Elijah, she imprinted her subconscious with the image of abundance and trust, and her subconscious, in turn, manifested that image as a never-ending supply. What do you have today that feels little? A bit of time. A small amount of money? A spark of energy? Use that little in an act of faith. Invest that bit of time in learning a new skill. Give a small portion of that money to someone in greater need, with the certainty that the law of circulation will return it multiplied. Use that energy to take the first step toward your dream. Acting on your little is the only thing that can turn it into much. If you commit to taking this step of faith today, leave a comment saying, I choose active faith. Your decision might just be the inspiration someone else needs. Chapter 5: The Law of the Vacuum, Clearing Debt and Resentment to Make Room for Jacob's Prosperity. You've learned to prepare the field, command with your word, and act with faith on the little you have. Now, we come to one of the most subtle and powerful laws of the universe, one that Florence Scovel Shinn considered absolutely essential: the law of the vacuum. The law is simple. The universe cannot tolerate an empty space. It always rushes to fill it. If you want wealth, health, and love to flow into your life, you must first create space for them. How? By letting go of what's old, useless, and negative. Most people try to attract prosperity while their minds, hearts and lives are cluttered with spiritual junk, resentments, fears, past guilt, and worst of all, a consciousness of debt. Trying to attract wealth while feeling indebted or resentful is like trying to fill a glass that's already overflowing with mud. It's impossible. The act of cleaning, of letting go, is what creates the vacuum for good to enter. Florence taught that resentment is the greatest enemy of prosperity. Holding a grudge against someone who wronged you financially or being angry at yourself for past mistakes creates an energetic block that stops money from flowing to you. Forgiveness, in this context, isn't an act of kindness toward others. It's an act of selfish intelligence for yourself. By forgiving, you cut the chain tying you to that energy of loss and set yourself free. The same goes for a debt consciousness. As long as you see yourself as a debtor, you're constantly affirming lack. The action here is mental cleansing. You need to neutralize those thoughts. Florence would advise using a powerful affirmation like, "I now release and forgive everyone and everything that may have harmed me. I free myself from all burdens of debt. My slate is clean. I am free to receive God's unlimited abundance." This act of release creates the vacuum. Jacob's journey in the Bible is a masterclass in how clearing the past opens the door to unimaginable prosperity. Jacob spent 20 years away from home, fleeing from his brother Esau, whom he had deceived to steal his birthright blessing. He worked for his uncle Laban, who tricked him time and again. Despite accumulating wealth, Jacob lived in fear, weighed down by his past. His turning point, described in Genesis 32, comes when he decides to return home and face his brother. The night before their meeting, he wrestles with an angel until dawn and has his name changed from Jacob, deceiver, to Israel, one who strives with God. This wrestling symbolizes his inner battle to let go of the old self, the resentment, and the guilt. The next day, by reconciling with Esau, he finally clears the past. And what happens next? His prosperity explodes. He becomes the patriarch of a nation. He could only receive the fullness of his blessing after creating the vacuum by releasing the fear and resentment that defined him. What junk are you holding on to? What resentment or sense of debt is taking up the space where your wealth should be? Today, decide to do that cleaning. Write down the names and situations you need to forgive on a piece of paper, then burn it in a symbolic act of release. If you're ready to create that vacuum in your life, drop a like to solidify that decision. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the coming chapters, we'll learn exactly how to fill that new space you've just created. Chapter 6. The Power of Divine Intuition. How Solomon asked for wisdom and received unimaginable riches. You've learned to align your mind, your words, and your actions. But there's a guide, a divine GPS, that shows you exactly what to do and when to do it. Florence Scovel Shinn called this force intuition or divine guidance. Intuition isn't logical reasoning. It's a flash, a gut feeling, a sudden and powerful urge that points you in the right direction. It's the voice of infinite intelligence within you, whispering the shortest path to your highest good. Most people ignore these intuitive flashes because the rational mind, the intellect, can't make sense of them. The intellect is rooted in the past, in logic, and in fear. Intuition is grounded in spiritual truth and sees the perfect path ahead. Learning to listen, trust, and, most importantly, obey your intuition without hesitation is one of the deepest secrets of how the wealthy create wealth. They don't rely solely on market analysis. They trust their hunches, which are really divine guidance in action. Florence taught that the best way to cultivate intuition is to ask for direction. Instead of asking directly for money, ask for clarity, for the revelation of your next step. A powerful affirmation for this is, "Infinite intelligence, reveal the way to me. Show me my next step. Let me be a clear channel for your guidance." After making this affirmation, get quiet and pay attention. The answer might come as a sudden idea to call someone, an urge to visit a place, or an unexpected solution to a problem. Your job isn't to question it, but to act on it promptly. Obeying your intuition is the ultimate demonstration of faith in the universe's wisdom. Every time you follow an intuitive nudge and see a positive outcome, your faith grows stronger, and the voice of intuition becomes clearer and louder in your life. The story of King Solomon in 1 Kings, chapter 3, is the ultimate lesson on this principle. God appeared to Solomon in a dream and said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Think about that. He was handed a blank check from the creator of the universe. What would most people ask for? Wealth, a long life, the destruction of their enemies. But Solomon, in a profound act of wisdom, didn't ask for the effects. He asked for the cause. He said, "Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong." He asked for wisdom, for discernment, for a direct connection to the divine mind. He asked for intuition itself. And what was God's response? "Since you have asked for this and not for long life or wealth for yourself, I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor." Solomon understood the law. He knew that with divine wisdom, intuition, to make the right decisions, wealth and success would follow as inevitable results. He sought first the kingdom of wisdom, and all other things were added to him. Are you doing the same? Or are you focusing only on the effect, money, while ignoring the cause, the wisdom to create it? Start today by practicing a few minutes of silence and asking for guidance. If you've ever followed your intuition and seen an astonishing result, share your story in the comments. Your experience could be the proof someone needs to start trusting their own inner voice. And if this chapter has shed new light for you, consider dropping a like so more people can discover how to tap into this wisdom. Chapter 7: Breaking the Curse of Scarcity, the Mental Battle Against the Alien Army. You're learning the laws, aligning your words, and following your intuition. But you might notice that, even when you're doing everything right, old patterns of fear, doubt, and self-sabotage keep creeping in. Where do they come from? Florence Scovel Shinn gives us a powerful answer. These thoughts aren't yours. They're what she called the army of the alien. This army is made up of all the negative beliefs planted in your subconscious since childhood by the mass consciousness, society, and family. Phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "The rich are greedy," "Life is a struggle," or "You don't deserve it." These ideas are alien because they don't belong to your true divine nature, which is pure abundance and success. This negative programming is the real curse of scarcity. It's like software running in the background, sabotaging your efforts and pulling you back into a reality of lack, even when you're trying to move forward. Your most important battle, then, isn't in the outer world. It's a mental battle. You must become a vigilant warrior at the gate of your mind, stopping this army of negative thoughts from taking control. Florence taught that you should never argue with these thoughts. Don't try to reason with them or debate them. That only gives them more power. The only strategy that works is the command of expulsion. The moment a thought of doubt or fear arises, you must, like a sentinel, raise your sword of words and declare with authority, "This thought is a liar and a thief. I refuse to be deceived. In the name of truth, I command you to leave my consciousness now." You have to be relentless. Florence would say to disturb the thief, to be so fierce with negative thoughts that they hesitate to return. Every time you do this, you weaken that army's hold over you. The Bible is full of stories that symbolize this mental battle. When the Israelites, led by Joshua, reached the Promised Land, a land flowing with milk and honey, it wasn't empty. It was occupied by giants and fortified cities. Those giants represent the fears and limiting beliefs entrenched in our consciousness. The Promised Land, your prosperity, was already theirs by divine right, but they had to fight to take possession of it. They couldn't coexist with the enemies. They had to drive them out completely. The famous fall of Jericho's walls didn't happen through physical force but through an act of faith and obedient sound. They marched and shouted under divine command. Your shout today is your powerful affirmation, tearing down the walls of doubt in your mind. Another example is Nehemiah, who, while rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, faced mockery and opposition from Sanballat and Tobiah. They were the external voices of the army of the alien, telling him he'd fail. Nehemiah's response was a blend of prayer and vigilant action. Our God will fight for us, while he kept a sword in one hand and worked with the other. You need to adopt that same stance. Recognize that thoughts of scarcity are enemies to be expelled, not truths to be accepted. What giant or mocking voice has been tormenting you? Identify it, name it, and start today to fight it with your word of authority. If you're ready to grab your sword and fight for your promised land, leave a comment saying, "I am a warrior of the mind." And if this content is empowering you for the battle, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because together, we're stronger in defeating this army. Chapter 8, The Law of Circulation, the secret of giving and receiving that multiplied loaves and can multiply your finances. You're already clearing your mind of clutter and battling thoughts of scarcity. Now, let's activate one of the most joyful and powerful laws of the universe, the law of circulation. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that wealth is like blood in our body. It must flow to create life. If it's hoarded, it stagnates and dies. Many people, out of fear of lack, operate with a damn mentality. They cling tightly to their money, afraid to spend, hesitant to give, and anxious with every transaction. Without realizing it, they're blocking the very flow they want to increase. The law of circulation states that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. You can't receive freely if you're not willing to give freely. Giving, when done with love, joy, and without fear, opens the channels for the universe to return that energy to you, multiplied. Florence would say that every dollar you spend or give should be released without fear, with a word of blessing. Instead of feeling the pain of paying a bill, pay it with gratitude for the service received and affirm, "I bless you and release you. May you circulate and bless others, and return to me multiplied under grace." By doing this, you transform an act of apparent loss into a powerful act of sowing. You're telling the universe you trust its inexhaustible source, knowing that where that money came from, much more will follow. This applies to everything: your time, your talents, your knowledge. The more you share the good you have, the more space you create to receive even greater things. Fear of giving affirms a limited source. Joy in giving affirms an infinite source. Which affirmation have you been practicing? The miracle of the loaves and fishes, told in the Gospels, is the perfect demonstration of the law of circulation. Jesus faces a hungry crowd of 5,000 men. The disciples, operating from a scarcity mindset, see the problem: we have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Their suggestion? Send the crowd away. They wanted to hoard the little they had. But Jesus operates under divine law. What does he do? First, he takes the little they have. Second, he blesses it, lifting it to the heavens in an act of gratitude. Third, and most importantly, he breaks it and gives it to the disciples to distribute to the crowd. He starts the flow. He puts the bread and fish into circulation. And it's in this act of giving, of sharing, that the multiplication happens. The food not only feeds everyone but leaves 12 baskets full. The blessing that returned was greater than what was given. The Bible is packed with other examples. In 2 Corinthians 9 verse 6, Paul teaches, "Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously." He's not just talking about farming, but a spiritual law. In Proverbs 11 verse 24, we read, "One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty." That's the law of circulation in its purest form. Start practicing this law today. Give something. It could be a small tip, a heartfelt compliment, or a bit of your time to listen to someone. Do it with the awareness that you're activating the flow of abundance in your life. If you believe in the power of giving to receive, drop a like to seal that intention. And share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. By sharing, you're already practicing the law of circulation. Chapter 9, The Divine Time of Harvest, Mastering Anxiety and Doubt so you don't miss out on your blessing. You've planted your seeds with faith, commanded with your word, cleared the mental ground, and activated the flow of circulation. Now, you face the final and, for many, the toughest test of all, the waiting. It's in the gap between planting and harvesting that doubt, anxiety, and fear try to seize control. This is when the army of the alien launches its fiercest attack, whispering in your mind, "It's not working, you did something wrong, this will never happen. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that this waiting period is critical. Your attitude during this time determines whether your manifestation will come to fruition or be derailed. Digging up your seeds of affirmation with worry and doubt is the surest way to destroy your harvest. Anxiety is a form of fear, and fear is a powerful affirmation that harm, not good, is on its way. Mastering yourself during this period is the hallmark of a true master of the game of life. The law here is the law of divine timing. Your manifestations don't operate on your schedule, but on the universe's perfect timing. Florence would say that nothing moves in the spiritual plane. The moment you affirm with faith, your blessing is already complete in the divine mind. Time is simply the natural unfolding for things to align in the physical plane in the most perfect way possible. Trying to rush the process signals a lack of faith. Your only task during the wait is to stay in a state of joyful expectation and gratitude. Act as if you've already received. Keep giving thanks for the manifestation, even without seeing it. When doubt creeps in, neutralize it immediately with an affirmation of trust, like, I am unmoved by appearances. My faith is anchored in the rock of truth. Divine timing is perfect, and my blessing is on its way. Maintaining peace and confidence during the wait is your greatest demonstration of faith. The Bible shows us time and again the importance of waiting with faith in God's timing. Joseph's story is a stunning example. He received dreams of his future greatness, but what followed? Betrayal by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit. For 13 years, his physical reality was the complete opposite of his divine promise. He could have given in to doubt and resentment, but he held fast to his faith and integrity. He didn't dig up the seed, and in perfect divine timing, in a single day, he was lifted from prison to become the governor of all Egypt, the second most powerful man in the world. The wait was necessary to prepare him and position him to save nations from famine. Another example is Caleb. He was one of the 12 spies sent to Canaan and, along with Joshua, returned with a report of faith. But because of the people's unbelief, he had to wait 40 years in the wilderness. At 85, he stood before Joshua and said, "Give me this mountain that the Lord promised me that day." His faith never wavered with time. He waited actively, knowing the promise would be fulfilled. Are you in your waiting period? Have you planted your seeds and feel anxious because the harvest hasn't appeared? Take a deep breath. Trust the law. Your job is to keep your vibration high. The universe is handling the hows and whens. If this message has brought you peace and strength to keep waiting with faith, drop a like as a sign of your trust in divine timing. And if you know someone who's on the verge of giving up, share this video. Your sharing could be the encouragement they need to hold on to their blessing. Chapter 10. Your Life's Master Plan. Unifying Mind, Faith, and Action to Live in Continuous Abundance. We've reached the end of this journey, but it's truly the beginning of yours. Let's recap the path. You've learned that life is a game played on the board of your mind. You've learned to prepare with faith like Isaac, command with your word like Elijah, act on the little you have like the widow of Zarephath, clear the ground like Jacob, seek wisdom like Solomon, fight fears like Joshua, practice circulation like Jesus, and wait in divine timing like Joseph and Caleb. Now, the final question is, how do you unify all of this, not just for a single manifestation, but for a life of continuous abundance? According to Florence Scovel Shinn, the answer lies in discovering and aligning with the master plan of your life. She taught that every soul has a divine design, a perfect pattern of self-expression that, when followed, unfailingly leads to success, happiness, and wealth. Your greatest prosperity won't come from chasing money but from surrendering to this plan. The master plan isn't something you create, it's something you uncover. It already exists in the infinite mind. Your intuition, which we discussed in Chapter 6, is the voice constantly guiding you toward this plan. When you feel joy, enthusiasm, and a sense of being in the right place while doing something, you're aligned with your plan. When you feel boredom, resistance, or frustration, you've likely strayed from it. Unifying your mind, faith, and action means, first, using your mind to ask for clarity about this plan. Affirm daily, infinite intelligence, reveal to me the master plan of my life. Let me see my place clearly and execute it perfectly. Second, use your faith to trust that this plan is one of pure abundance and that, by following it, all the supply you need will be provided. Third, use your word to decree the manifestation of this plan, saying, "The divine plan of my life now unfolds. I take my rightful place and fulfill my destiny." And finally, use action by promptly obeying every intuitive nudge that guides you, even if the step seems small or illogical. The entire Bible is, at its core, the story of men and women learning to align with the divine plan. Look at the life of the Apostle Paul. Once Saul, he was a man who, with great zeal, pursued what he thought was the right plan, persecuting Christians. He was pouring his energy in the wrong direction. But on the road to Damascus, he had a divine revelation that blinded him to the outer world so he could see the inner plan. From that moment, his life changed. He unified his mind, faith, and action toward one purpose, fulfilling his calling to bring the word to the Gentiles. He faced shipwrecks, imprisonment, and stonings, but he never wavered because he knew he was living his master plan. And through it all, he declared he had learned the secret of being content in any situation, because his source wasn't external but internal, rooted in the one who strengthened him. His abundance wasn't just material, it was an abundance of purpose, peace, and power. That's what it means to be truly rich in every sense. It's not just about having money but living a life rich in meaning, aligned with your divine purpose. Money becomes a natural consequence, a side effect of being in the right place, doing the right thing. What you've learned here aren't tricks to win the lottery. These are the eternal laws of creation. The power to create the life you want has always been within you. Now, you have the instruction manual. The game of life is before you. You're no longer a pawn, you're the player. I'm deeply grateful you've joined us on this journey. If this video series has transformed how you see life and wealth, the best way to show your gratitude is by subscribing to the channel and sharing this knowledge. Leave a final comment saying, "I accept the master plan of my life." Let this be your final decree and the start of your new, abundant reality. The game has begun. Play it to win. Until the next video.